Day, Bashar.
Andrew, you good day.
How are we?
We are fine. How are we?
Perfect. Thank you for asking. Okay, so I kind of want to talk about downloads.
Downloads.
Yes.
All right.
Last night,
Yes.
as the channel session was going on, the lights kept flickering, and I felt like a string being pulled from my third eye.
Yes.
Can you tell me what was going on there?
The idea, again, is that we were talking about the pineal gland, which you euphemistically refer to as the third eye. Thus, the idea is that there was more activation of that particular energy center of the body, and when that energy center of the body is more highly activated, it expands one's ability to perceive into other dimensions. But doing so actually also expands the electromagnetic field around the body. It can, for a while until stabilized, be a little bit erratic. And when interacting with other electromagnetic fields, of which there are a plethora on your planet, it may cause contrary waves that will cause feedback loops in some of the existing electromagnetic systems that are in your immediate proximity, so as to cause fluctuations in their fields.
Would like a cell phone be interrupting that then, for example?
It can.
Okay.
Or it can be interrupted by the expanding field from your body.
Okay.
Or even activated.
Was that why the lights were flickering then?
In some sense, yes.
Okay. And then later on that night, around a little after 3 a.m., my pineal gland was activated.
Yes.
And I was listening to a new ITOM lab track that was still in creation. And basically I had some incarnational experiences, and I felt all of my chakras basically align and vibrate.
All right.
And I felt like, my whole body basically kind of leave itself. But
your body left itself?
Well, I left my body.
Well, in a sense, you expanded beyond the parameters of your physical form.
Yes. So, with all that being said, I've actually, with the incarnation thing, I've come to find on my own one of the incarnations called Ion, and I was just hoping you could maybe expand on maybe what had happened last night, what I should be picking up on.
The idea is that it was a template of a future, what you call a future incarnation. The template being shown to you, given to you the frequencies thereof to match in order to move forward and toward that vibration.
Okay, and how can I, from what had happened, put that into action? Spend more time in the non-physical planes, or meditate on that more?
How does your imagination wish to put it into action?
Through creativity.
Well, then, do so.
Okay. Could you tell me a little bit more about Ion?
It is a being of spontaneity, of spontaneous creation, that is highly technological in the sense that it is strongly connected to electromagnetic fields and their instantaneous manipulation.
Cool.
There's that temperature again.
Yes. Okay, so what about with Tiave? Ion and Tiave have a relationship. Can you tell me about that?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Except to say this. One pulls you to the future, and one grounds you to the earth.
Interesting.
So that you have a complete circuit and won't short yourself.
Okay, one last question. It's involving synchronicity.
Yes.
My buddy Tom, I haven't seen him for like a month or two, and when I saw him yesterday,
yes,
we have the same bracelet.
Yes.
We have the same pair of shoes.
Yes.
And we both have crystal necklaces. He's got moldavite, and I've got a quartz.
Yes.
What's going on there?
Synchronicity. Synchronicity being that you are operating on similar wavelengths, and therefore will reflect that through similar expressions.
Okay, so basically like the whole, if you drop a glass theory and, all the different particles are all a part of the one, we're basically kind of two shards that were closer together that kind of broke apart, in that sense?
No. The idea being, of course, that on a certain level everything is one, and all of you are shards of the one. Yes. But in the terms in which you meant it, synchronistically, the idea is that if you are vibrating on a similar wavelength, then you will experience similar things simultaneously.
Oh, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have a question about how to take action more effectively in my field of work.
Which is?
I'm a writer.
All right. And this is your passion, yes?
And a film producer, yes.
Yes, all right.
And,
Taking action more effectively.
well, specifically in reference to one element of this business.
Yes.
I feel very confident and have been successful as a writer for many, many years.
All right.
And as a producer too, I feel that I'm doing well in the all the creative
All right.
areas of that.
And what area are you seeking to enhance?
What I'm seeking to enhance is my comfort level with raising money. I'm involved right now in organizing a really fabulous documentary project. And
Why are you uncomfortable in raising money?
well, it's I have never been required to do this by myself before, for one thing, and also
So you do not believe you necessarily possess the skills to do so?
that's part of it.
All
and
right.
Also, I don't. I don't have any particular in-depth training as far as finances are concerned. I feel very comfortable in the creative end with everything and the people.
Why
and
is
all of
this
that.
not a creative aspect? Maybe you are simply defining it in a way that doesn't serve you. It is a creative aspect of the project as well, to raise the money, is it not?
Certainly.
Well, then why not go about it more creatively?
When you ask me that question, I feel like I just walked into a brick wall. I don't know.
All right, well, at least walk into the brick wall creatively. The idea being is that your definitions are getting the better of you here. You need to redefine the whole concept of your relationship to money, raising it, your ability to do so, and see it as something that is actually part and parcel of the creativity of making the film. It is not a separate issue. The verve and creativity and imagination and inspiration that you use to apply to the writing and the filmmaking and all the other aspects must also be applied to this in the same way. They cannot be seen as any different. Go forward in the idea of raising money with joy. Oh boy, I get to raise money for this now. I get to attract it synchronistically, effortlessly, joyfully, just like every other aspect of this idea. You must allow yourself to not make this a separate issue by redefining it in a more holistic way. And then get on about the business of doing that in a more creative way according to your inspiration and imagination. But you will not see ways of doing it creatively until you are on the wavelength itself that allows you to know that that's possible for you. It doesn't necessarily mean that you require great skill at doing it. We understand that there may be people on your planet that use certain skills to do this, but there are also people that have raised substantial sums of money on your planet for their projects without having one idea about how to go about it. They just start talking. They just start doing it. They just get an inspiration and they say, well, that's just, here's the movie cliche, that's just crazy enough that it might work. And being willing to take action on it, even if it seems a little crazy. That's bringing the same degree of creativity to that aspect of making the film as any other aspect, because it is an aspect of making the film. And there is no reason to be unexcited about that, except as the definitions you have been taught make it seem to be. Is this making some sense?
Oh, absolutely. That's very helpful.
Now, in your imagination, can you right now imagine one unusual way in which you might go about attracting this money? What springs to mind when you allow your imagination to simply run free with it? No matter how crazy it looks, say it. Even if it doesn't seem practical, let it come.
Well, the first thing that occurred to me is to approach someone in a group I know that has hundreds of members who are very interested in this kind of thing.
All right. And then through your passion about the project, perhaps inspire them to join with you in helping co-create it, yes?
Right.
So, will you take action on that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I will.
Thank you. That's really all it takes. Don't bring expectation into it. Just allow it to be what it is and act on the next most exciting thing that crops up after that. But if that's what popped into your imagination, then you are allowing your imagination to be the conduit that allows higher mind to communicate those ideas that, if you take action on, will get you where you're going. Whether that is the immediate manifestational form or not, doesn't matter. It will move you in the correct direction and put you in the proper state of being to attract what you need. And the more passionate you are about it for its own sake, rather than being excited about it because you need something from someone, the more passionate you are about it for its own sake, the more enticing you will make it seem to others who also want to play. You see?
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah, it does. I think it also, what you're saying too, is to just let go of the tension around it.
Yes. Because that's only created by definitions you have of that don't serve you and have nothing to do with the idea of your passion. That's why it feels awkward. The awkwardness is telling you that the way you're approaching that aspect of the deal is not representative of your passion. Therefore, find a way that is. Invent a way that is. Yes?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have another question now, too, about what you just began to speak about a moment ago.
Yes.
In fact, a couple of them. I am still having trouble trying to figure out how to understand the idea of history in chronological time.
Yes.
And everything occurring simultaneously. For example,
yes.
the one image that keeps coming to mind is, you know, in 16th century England or
yes.
London,
yes.
the costumes looked a particular way.
Yes.
And
they still do in that reality.
But we have the same city in
No,
this
you
year.
don't. No, you don't. That's
Different
where you're
city.
getting confused. It's not the same city. It's not the same reality. It's just a different version.
Then what is memory? For those of us, if we
good question.
If we have memory of what we think of as
memory
past lives,
is
what's
created in the present. Memory does not come from the past. It's created in the present. Memory is simply a cross-linking, a cross-connecting to another reality that you then put into a linear space-time framework for your convenience of continuity. Look at the analogy that we have often used. You are in the film business, so look at the analogy we have often used of the film strip. You know that if you look at the strip of film, one frame at a time, one after another, it's going to appear to be a continuous motion from beginning to end. But if you're the projectionist, you know that you can simply hold the film strip out between your hands and see all the frames at the same time. Just because you might experience the beginning through the projector and the ending through the projector and all the things in sequence when it runs through the projector, when you don't run it through the projector but just hold it in your hands, you can see all the frames at the same time and can look at them in any order you want. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, reality is actually like that. What you call 16th century London is a frame on a piece of film. What you call 21st century London is a frame somewhere on that film strip. They both exist at the same time. If you look at them through the projector, you will see a historical continuity and a progression. If you just look at them simultaneously, you'll see both of the frames on the strip at the same time. Does that help?
So in other words, perhaps if you're working from a historical point of view, if you're, say, doing a historical book or film,
then it serves you to look at it as the projector looks at it.
Okay, so it's really a choice of how you choose to look at it.
Yes. It's holographic. Depending upon your point of view will determine exactly how you see it. But all of them are correct. All the points of view are correct. It's just what serves you at any given moment for what you are doing. That's all. Does that make more sense?
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yes, yes it does. And then, lastly, regarding something you said a few minutes ago about, choosing to exist in the reality that you prefer, and that you can't change the world. You can only change yourself.
Yes.
Well, then why bother? If I prefer to live in a world where there's no torture, where there's no
Remember what we said about
famine.
the idea of process? And the idea of experiencing creation in action and what you learn from that? That's valuable. That's why bother. Because that is its own experience. Because it's not about changing someone else. It's about what you learn in your experience of being an aspect of creation. And then, in a sense, adding that perspective to creation. To give realization to another point of view in creation. That's why bother. Do you understand that? The value is in the experience.
So in a sense, the experience adds value to oneself and to the whole of creation. Is that what you're saying?
It validates all that is. Because it is a real, valid experience of all that is. And to experience it, in that sense, validates all that is and the aspect of it experiencing it. And that is an experience of value and appreciation. Does that make more sense?
Yes. But what is then the difference between, say, where perhaps we are now, or at least where I am, and a bodhisattva? Then
what is the difference?
Where is the difference in process? What happens in...
It's a difference in the level of frequency represented by the degree of appreciation. The higher the appreciation frequency, the less need there is for the process or the experience in order to add value and appreciation to all that is. The bodhisattva simply adds it by being appreciation. Most of you are still going through the process of experiencing the process that eventually creates the appreciation. Make sense?
So is appreciation in this sense the equivalent of unconditional compassion?
Yes. Vibrationally speaking. Does that help?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And you good day?
Good. I have two questions.
Yes.
One is, if I'm passionate about someone's life, can I change that person's life?
No.
Okay.
You can, however, offer them an opportunity to choose to change their life. That's all you can do. So if you are, in that sense, passionate about them and loving, you can allow them to experience that there is an opportunity, a choice that they can make. But if you're loving, you have to allow them to make whatever choice they choose to make.
Yes, that's true.
Yes, I know.
Okay, then...
Does that help?
Yes, it's very helpful.
All right.
I'll be, I'll be loving. Yes.
Thank you. Well, your choice. You
Yes.
don't have to be.
I choose to.
Thank you. Are there tones, pineal tones, that help with balancing our mind and also could have other effects with the pineal gland?
Yes, and we will discuss this concept at another time as well, but the short answer is yes.
Okay. Okay, so on to some ET galactic type questions that we have.
Yeah.
If someone passes to the other side of a black hole, what will they see?
Depends on the black hole, because there can be black holes that are tunnels to other points in space-time. There can be black holes that are portals to other realities, other universes altogether. It depends on the type of black hole.
So these sounds, I think they just recently came up with a recording of the sound of a black hole. Was that
Well,
accurate?
the sound, in a sense, is a reconstruction of the idea of the perturbations that exist within the space-time field as you recognize it in your terms. So it's the fluctuations in the space-time field, the gravitational fields, the fields of consciousness that are being interpreted in your terms to create a sound as you understand sound. What you're basically hearing is a representation of fluctuations in space-time.
And what would happen if a person went to the end of the universe and left it? What would they see? I know it's going to be vary, but...
Again, you're assuming, first of all, there is an end in the
Right.
classic sense to the universe, but we understand the context of the question. It depends. Again, you might see another universe. You might not even know you've crossed from one to another. The end may be apparent and it may not be. It just depends. Again, this requires a deeper conversation, but the general answer is it depends.
Okay. And are there any spacefaring ETs who are basically life-size animated plants?
In a sense, yes. You would perceive them in that way. You would perceive them to be plant life, although they would be a little bit different than what you perceive on Earth as plant life. But yes, there are those extraterrestrial beings that do appear to possess more qualities you would attribute to the concept of plants.
What about situations where someone has taken something that elevates their frequency, some sort of hallucinogenic or plant-based idea, and they experience things like communication with DNA and things like that?
Yeah.
Is that basically similar to the idea of interacting with a plant type consciousness that is an extraterrestrial?
Well, yes, because it can be a reflection of dealing with the consciousness of a plant that is terrestrial and therefore may cross into the idea of communication with an extraterrestrial type plant as well.
So they can deliver information from that microscopic level in a sense also.
Possibly.
Okay, and why do extraterrestrial crafts have light? Lights on them. Are they a device for attracting our attention and raising our awareness, or do they serve a purpose?
Well, there are many levels to that. Many craft have lights in the same way that your cars have lights. Remember, it's dark out in space. Therefore, the lights help to identify what's there. But a lot of the so-called lights are not lights as you understand them. They're expressions of energy. So they can be representative of many different things that are not necessarily physical lights in the way you understand the technology. It may be the manipulation of energy that has a light as a side effect.
Okay, and will there be people who immigrate to Essassani, and how would that work in the Interstellar Alliance?
Eventually, there may be those that will come to live on different planets relatively permanently, yes. In the future, when you are a full-fledged member of the Interstellar Alliance, that is a common thing for individuals to do as long as the planet can support their form of life. Just like you would go to live in another country. There's nothing mysterious about this.
At the present time, though, individuals who are experiencing Essassani would basically be doing it in dream time in that form.
In their astral form, yes. Eventually, it can be physical. There are humans who have been taken to other planets physically. We're not going to go into detail about a lot of that right now. But there are humans who do reside on other planets. It's rare, but it has happened.
And are there subterranean intelligences living alongside humans on this planet?
There are some. That doesn't mean there's a hollow earth in your dimension. But there are some subterranean beings that do exist on your planet simultaneously with you. There are not many. Mostly those that you would consider to be other civilizations, subterranean, are in other dimensions that just appear to be inside your planet. But there are a few physical beings that do live in subterranean enclaves on your planet that you are not necessarily aware of. Yes.
How prevalent is it that there are ships in the oceans?
Do you mean extraterrestrial craft?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes, of course.
It's relatively common because there are bases under the oceans, under the ocean floors, and are visited quite often by various extraterrestrial crafts, just as there are bases that are also underground on land and bases on your moon and Mars.
Are there a number of bases on the, within the Hawaiian Islands?
There are a couple. All right, a few.
Can I ask about a specific location?
If you wish. Doesn't mean I'll answer you.
Okay. Kealakekua Bay?
Nearby.
There have been sightings there.
Nearby.
Nearby.
Nearby. Not in it, but nearby.
Okay. Are the beings responsible for creating our species and our scientific level of intelligence also responsible for the nuclear weapons that this intelligence has produced?
If you're referring to the idea of the Anunnaki, they did have a science that was understood by some that did allow for the development of nuclear devices. They didn't provide them, though, if that's what you're asking.
Okay. And did the Sasquatch interact heavily with the Conestoga people, who are also known as the Susquehannock, found on the Susquehannock River? And if so, modern people believe this culture is extinct because of conflict in the 1700s. Did some of them travel with Sasquatch to other dimensions?
Yes. And that's all we will say about that.
Okay. And are ancient Egypt giants Anunnaki?
Some of them certainly have a lot of Anunnaki blood. They are mostly ancient Atlanteans that have a lot of Anunnaki blood, many of which still existed on Earth in the late periods after the destruction, the third phase of destruction of Atlantis, and became known as the Anunnage. You can look them up. Anunnage, Anannage, Anunnage, which is a corruption of Anunnaki. But many of these are ancient Atlanteans who survived and went to different areas on your planet that had a lot of Anunnaki blood.
Okay, and this is a question about the U.S. congressional hearings on the UFOs.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, does that foreshadow a change in the collective energy leading to the beginning of the open window of contact?
It does, of course, even though not much information actually was offered in that meeting. The fact that it is recognized as a public meeting that professes to take the subject seriously is a step forward in the evolution of contact. Yes, of course.
And this person is saying, I read that the U.S. government or military doesn't want to admit UFOs are from outer space and friendly because then there would be no need to have huge budgets to protect ourselves against them. Is that accurate or?
Yes. In general, yes. There are exceptions, but yes.
And in the news this week, there was also a picture of a doorway on planet Mars. And is that picture true?
No comment.
Okay. All right. And there'll be a device in the future that will help access the unconscious mind and discover our negative beliefs. Can you tell us what kind of a device that would be?
It will be an AI device.
And is it connected with the internet? Because you've talked about how we would be able to talk with our higher minds through the internet. I guess it's sort of a representation of that idea.
It's not the internet as you know it, but it will be something similar.
Okay, and can you tell us something about advances in health and medicine, what they might look like that would help us continue to evolve and move towards greater and greater open contact?
Eventually, it will all be based on the understanding of resonance and frequency of energy.
So eventually will we be able to like regrow limbs or
Yes.
restore senses?
Yes.
All of those things?
Yes.
And will it be through the use of AI? Because right now we already see that happening where
Partly, yes. It can be aided by AI, yes. But it has to do with frequency and resonance.
Okay. And lastly, this one says the cultural belief that change is created through rage, rejection, and punishment seems to be gaining momentum, at least in our society and maybe even worldwide. And can you help us understand what an individual can do to shift that so that we have a more smooth progression to our evolved future? Or is this whole period of quote unquote negativity that the world seems to be going through just part of our growth process to get us to
It's
that
on how you
place?
use it. As we have said, you're getting everything out on the table because it's the end of the cycle. You're shifting into a new cycle. You have to be able to see every possible choice and every possible opportunity to be a living example of better choices, of more positive choices, without necessarily needing anyone to choose them. But the idea is to be a living example of that. That's how you can help. But remember, again, you're never going to change the planet you're on. You're going to shift to another version of Earth that will be more and more reflective of the changes you make within yourself. But being a living example through the actions that you take that are more representative of a positive reality will allow those who are inclined to do so to also choose and match those frequencies in a more positive way. But again, the idea is unless you see all of the negativity, you won't know what choices necessarily there are to make or not make. So you're getting it all out on the table. So you give yourself the freedom to choose what you truly prefer and leave behind what you truly do not.
And for those that are concerned about nuclear in the current situations that are happening, you've mentioned that full-out nuclear war would not be allowed to happen on this planet because of the effect that it would have in other dimensions, etc.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, but limited nuclear strikes we cannot necessarily prevent.
So if there's a limited nuclear strike that then turns into a full-out exchange, is that would, like if there was a limited nuclear strike and then someone retaliated in a limited way, would that qualify as being allowed to happen, or would it only be that it would be stopped at that point?
We would gauge the ultimate effect of any reaction and determine whether or not it would reach the level where it would interfere with other dimensions. It will be allowed as long as it does not cross over into other realities that are not yours. As soon as it reaches the level where it would do so, it would be stopped.
Okay, and just in keeping with the idea that there are things happening on our planet that are very challenging for all of us, or a lot of us.
Yes.
In terms of a positive way to look at the war and what is happening, what is our best method for doing that?
Do not instruct you in that. You have made this too political, and we are not allowed into your politics that deeply. We would simply say, once again, look for those who exhibit the idea of courage, of strength, of positivity, of doing things in a way that can mitigate things without the idea of violence and force, but who also are willing to defend themselves. Allow yourself simply, again, to continue to be living examples and take the actions necessary to demonstrate to others that they do not have to operate out of fear, that they do not have to operate out of control and lack. It's up to you. It's your planet. We can only go so far in aiding and assisting you. You have to make the decisions that work for everyone in the most harmonious way and help those who live in fear to understand there is another way. We have to leave most of that up to you to use the tools we have shared with you in ways that can be of assistance and service to all. It's your planet.
Thank you, Bashar. We really appreciate your perspective and all that you share with us.
It is always our passion and our pleasure and our gratitude and appreciation for allowing these exchanges to occur. Depending upon what you do with this information will make all the difference in all the different versions of Earth that you choose to experience as you move forward on your evolutionary path. And in that light, we now invite you to participate